All right, Chris Ryan, Fast Times. Yeah. Mallory.
Yeah.
It's been a while for you in the Rewatchables. Since you brought the house down in Forrest Gump, right? Did you do one since?
War of the Roses. Yeah.
War of the Roses. We
Yeah.
did. That's right.
Yeah.
The raunchy teen movie era. Era near and dear to my heart since I was a teenager as these movies were coming out. I'm older than you, Chris Ryan. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on the podcast.
Just a hair. I wanted you to paint a picture of Bill Simmons' 1982 with Porky's in this.
Just wanting these movies to come out every week.
Yeah.
Early cable. Super early VHS. Like not like you might have a birthday party where you went to somebody's house and maybe they would have Fast Times. They'd be like, oh my God, they have Fast Times.
Right.
But this was, I consider Caddyshack to start this.
Okay.
So Animal House 78, Caddyshack, which I don't think is considered a teen movie, but it really is if you look at it. But then we get to 82 and it's this recipe of comedy, boobs, people trying to get laid.
Yeah.
And that's
Your
that's
three
the early
favorite
80s. That's it.
And bank robberies. if they would ever just put a bank robbery in Porky's.
And heists. Yeah. But that was it. And that was just the way it went for years. And then at some point it kind of morphed into the John Hughes type of teen comedy. But this is like, it's the most inappropriate era. It's also obviously near and dear to my heart. And a lot of good music too.
Yeah.
What's your relationship?
This was the darker, older sibling to Breakfast Club. So like I think I probably was introduced more to the John Hughes stuff, like Ferris Bueller and Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. But it was like Fast Times was the tape, like you said, it's like the tape somebody's older brother had, you know? And it kind of reminded me, watching it now, it made me feel like I did. So in 82, I was like really young, but like, it's like that feeling of being in middle school and like kids in high school seem impossibly older, like so much older than they actually were. But you're like, these guys are like in their late 20s. They party and have sex, like and drive. And I'm just like such a child. And that's what it felt like the first time you watched Fast Times, because it was like it was so real and so dark. And there was stuff that happening in Fast Times where I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what an abortion is. I don't know what oral sex is. Like when I first saw the movie.
I exactly felt that way. There were like three things in this movie I didn't even know how to process or understand them. There was also a danger with this movie, Mal, where kids, I was in 8th grade when this came out, like some kids weren't allowed to see it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm not allowed to see it. Let's go to the movies and see this other movie and then immediately sneak into Fast Time.
Right.
So everybody saw it. And I don't think they knew it was going to be as big as it was. I think it did fine in box office, but it was the tail of it, I think, that mattered. But what do you remember about it?
Cult classic to this day. So this movie came out 4 years before I was born.
Fair.
So it's actually, for me, something that I saw after the high school sex movies or coming of age romance stories that were like the defining movies of my time. Like we just did the 99 draft and we talked about a bunch of them. American Pie, 10 Things I Hate About You, Cruel Intentions. Those were the movies that I was watching in middle school. And then those were the son and daughters of this exactly.
movie.
And then you start catching up on the coaching tree and realizing what came before. So I saw Fast Times. I saw Dazed and Confused. I saw obviously much more like Chased, but American Graffiti, all those movies for me came after the movies that were like releasing contemporaneously to when I was growing up, which I think maybe it's not then quite the like, oh my God, this like taught me what a blowjob is, which it sounds like was your personal and very meaningful relationship to the film.
Changed my relationship to carrots, that's for sure.
I bet. I've got some notes on the carrots that will, I'm sure, come up throughout the pod today. Some thoughts and questions.
I thought about bringing carrots, but then I was like, that's probably an HR violation.
I was going to do that too. I was like, maybe if we were filming at home on Zoom, you know? But
this era, Porky's was the 6th biggest movie of 1982.
Yeah.
Following E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Rocky III, On Golden Pond, and An Officer and a Gentleman. Porky's
what
was
a year
6th.
for you.
What
oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, this is, your Poltergeist came out, First Blood, there's a bunch of them, and Taps with Sean Penn. But so I think of this era, it's Caddyshack, it's Fast Times, it's Porky's. Last American Virgin is a huge piece of this that just kind of died, but it's same kind of recipe of somebody who wanted to fall in love and had their heart broken with really good, well-placed music. That one had James Ingram at the end just once. as he realized his buddy had cockblocked him and stolen the girl he loved. And he's just driving away crying. And it's like, I gave my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. Because here we are back where we were before. Like, you're just smelling up thinking about it. Losing It with Tom Cruise. Private School with Matthew Modine and ironically Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
And Betsy Russell on the horse. Important teenage scene. Class with Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy.
That's right.
And Andrew McCarthy starts dating Rob Lowe's mom. That's one of the most absurd movies ever made. But they're just cranking these out left and right. And then all of a sudden, John Hughes is like, I will take your corner.
And then when's Meatballs? Like, there's also
Meatballs is earlier. Meatballs is 80, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Meatballs is, it's like Animal House, Meatballs, Caddyshack, leading to all the ripoff movies.
It's really interesting to see what Hollywood generally, Hughes specifically, probably saw in Fast Times. And we're like, let's take this, this, and this, and let's leave that other shit out of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, there's stuff in Breakfast Club that is transgressive or is a little bit edgy and stuff like that, but it's nowhere close to what's going on in Fast Times. And considering the amount of movies it must have influenced, it's crazy how rare it is to see a movie get as push things as far as Fast Times did.
But those impermissible qualities, like, that's the meta aspect of it. Like, the things that the kids in high school at the mall are doing in the movie, and you're like, do they have okay, I saw one good night hug between Mama Hamilton and Stacy, and then the parents are just MIA. Curtis mentions Papa Spicoli to Jeff once, but like the parents are not present.
Damone's like working with his dad in the garage.
In the garage, right. And so the kids, the teens, the high schoolers are getting up to all of the things that they can do outside of the view of supervision. And when you're watching Fast Times, it feels like that. Like consuming it is for you what doing all the things.
But that's also what childhood kind of felt like that back then, right? Like your parents were just not around as much as they are, I think, in kids' lives today.
It is a dominant theme in these 80s movies. And I always wonder, like, where are the parents? Because it's always like, oh, yeah, mom and dad are away for a week. It's,
Brad and I are watching the house for the weekend.
Yeah,
what about all the other times?
Like, I don't want to leave my house with Ben for like 4 hours. Like Ben will be like, when are you guys coming back? I'm like, 45 minutes from now, even if it's 3 hours
You come
later.
back, there's an octagon that's been built.
Totally. I already have some stories on this. But yeah, back then, it was a lot of kids just not being anywhere where their parents were.
Yeah.
Partly because they didn't have the internet. So if you were home, you're either in your room listening to music or you're in the living room watching TV with your parents. Nobody wanted to do that. So they just get the fuck out. That's why malls became so important.
Yeah.
Man.
And this is one of the big themes of this movie. This is like the
movie.
rise of mall culture, which then leads to some of the movies we had in the 90s celebrating this era of mall culture, like Mallrats, a Chris Ryan favorite.
Yeah. And it's also like very like really brought back the era of like kind of having a job that you just did to keep busy more than anything else, and that was something parents were just like, you got to get out of the house. Like, I don't really care what you do, but like you better come home with like $50 at the end of the week or whatever those kids were getting paid. And you wound up working at pizza places and ice cream shops and taking tickets at movie theaters. And if it was all at the mall, and then it was basically a big hangout.
But that's one of the things that's so great about the movie is like at no point does it feel like any of them had to get a job because their parents made them. It's like their pursuit of freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Financial independence, like social independence, whatever the case may be.
And
they're the ones
making car
convincing
payments.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 more payments.
Right. Fast Times came out in 82. There's a whole story behind this movie with Cameron Crowe, our guy, who just did Jerry Maguire, but he goes undercover. He's writing for Rolling Stone, goes undercover at Claremont High School in San Diego, even though he was an adult. And redoes a year of high school and writes a book about it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they decide to turn it into movies, so he writes the script. But one of the things about this movie and some of the other ones, we've talked about this in the past, which is like the crazy talent pool of actors.
Oh my God.
In the early 80s
4
that are just
Oscar
all
winners in
over the
this one?
place. We talked about this with Risky Business.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie, it doesn't launch Sean Penn because he's in Taps the year before. But Nick Cage is in it, Eric Stoltz, Forrest Whitaker, Phoebe Cates, Anthony Edwards, Jennifer Jason Leigh. But then Valley Girl is happening separately, and that has Nick Cage, and the Risky Business is happening with Cruise. The Outsiders is happening with Swayze, and it's just this talent boom. The Brat Pack is forming, And I don't know what it is. It's like when you look at the NBA or whatever, or NFL with quarterbacks, you're like, why are there so many quarterbacks for this 3-year stretch? This makes no sense.
I wonder whether there's something connecting it to the kids of that 80s America being an upwardly mobile or like having purchasing power and Hollywood recognizing that. Like, oh, kids want to see themselves on screen.
Yeah.
Let's pump these out like all year long, but especially over the summer when they're out of school. And like,
and thank God.
Yeah. And then but that's like, you know, in the 70s, I don't think you have as many like high school movies because people, I don't think that was a demographic that was getting marketed to as much.
There was this era that CR and I have talked about. You missed it. I was old enough to be babysat by some of these kids, but it's from like 76, probably to 83, where people just left the house and they drove around.
Yeah.
And this movie captures that too. Like when Spicoli and Jefferson's brother.
Yeah.
And they're just driving and they're just fucking getting loaded in the car. Like that's what people did in 1981. You're just like, I'm just going to go from point A to point B in the town I live in, and we'll drive and we'll play music and we'll get fucked up. Maybe we'll end up in a parking lot. And that's how you killed like a Saturday night.
Yeah, but that was like, you can't get into a bar. So what do you do to go hang out? And it was like, but even when I was growing up, we would drive to Cherry Hill, New Jersey and go to the mall, or we would go to mini golf somewhere in New Jersey. Right. And we were but it wasn't like we were mini golf aficionados.
Just passing the time.
Yeah, we were just trying to kill a night.
But you could also get fucked up in your car and it was okay.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, CR crashed his car and shit. He was fucked up. Like, oh, man.
He's going to pin it on the rival school. But like even the scene when Rat and Damone show up at Stacy's to hang out in the pool, right? And it's like, yeah, hot day, came to help you with your math homework. The idea now of two people who are sort of tangentially kind of in your life showing up at your home to spend the day with you without announcement or invitation is inconceivable.
I was thinking about, I'm going to start doing that to Sean.
All the time.
I'm just going to drop by.
You would love it.
It's like I'm screening a movie. Hey, Craig, did your generation ever just get in the car and drive around and kill a Friday night, or was that era just over?
I think we did that. We used to go to like parks, 7-Elevens, stuff like that, people's garages. And yeah, we would definitely sit in cars.
But it could never be like, oh, Johnny's had 20 beers. He's going to have to take us home. This is hilarious.
No, not
That's
really.
kind of what 1981 was like.
Yeah, but that was before Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
All that
I feel
shit.
like a lot of that stuff got hammered on us like pretty hard.
Not in the era of this movie.
No.
Like Spicoli, basically, they crash a car. A bunch of shit happens. He sideswipes other cars. He's like, whoa. And then somehow gets the car somewhere else the next day and it's fine.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't judge the behavior at all. Caddyshack was like that too. So 1982, Sean Penn.
Mm-hmm.
I know him at this point from Taps in this movie and then Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And after that threesome, I would just bet he's going to be the biggest star in the world because they're three completely different parts.
Yeah.
He's so good in this movie, it does not seem like Sean Penn.
I mean,
like it has no correlation to any other character he's played in his entire career.
It's also hilarious to watch somebody doing a method version of acting for Spicoli. I mean, like, because usually you're just like, oh yeah, you would do like My Left Foot or, you know, Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. This guy's like a stoner. He's basically like Wooderson or like a bunch of other like iconic kind of rebel kids, and he's fucking treating it like he's playing
incredible
Henry V.
It has the same lasting impact on our shared history, though. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like Spicoli walking in to Mr. Hand's U.S. history class with the bagel in the waistband of his jeans. That is cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it is. This is just an
Spicoli
iconic
getting the
performance.
pizza delivered to the classroom. The other thing that's worth mentioning about Spicoli, which is really fascinating to go back and watch, is like, you know, there was still like regionalism in American culture. And this was a West Coast movie. That was a West Coast character. Like, we did not know.
Oh, I had no idea who
dudes.
that person was. Yeah. The East Coast. And
having a guy wear a Baja and a turtleneck and checkered Vans, I was like, this guy might as well be wearing like, you know, like a clown suit. I've never seen this before.
I almost put this in What's Age the Worst, Spicoli, not the character, but just he's been ripped off so many times since 1982 that it's like, oh yeah, Spicoli. I've seen that character, but you can't overstate that this character did not exist in movies or television until Spicoli.
The original authentic article. Also, the checker bands are timeless.
Yeah, well, he made them timeless. Yeah.
I can't think of any other character before this. Because I tried to rack my brain. I'm like, oh, there had to be somebody. And I just, you know, not like this where it's funny, but also like this wholly distinct character.
Yeah.
And he's great. The soundtrack is unbelievable in this movie too.
Incredible.
Can we do Amy Heckerling for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I do the soundtrack?
Sure, man.
Jesus.
I thought you were going
CR grabbing the steering wheel.
No, I thought you were going to say like we'll do that needle drop. Go ahead.
I have Heckerling. No, this movie starts with We Got the Beat.
Yeah.
Yep.
It goes to American Girl.
The American Girl drop.
And then it comes right into Jackson Brown, Somebody's Baby. It's just those are the first 3 songs of the movie. We Oingo Boingo's in here. The Moving in Stereo, one of the best car songs, one of the best early 80s songs. Led Zepp is in here. Jingle Bell Rock. It's way up there for soundtracks. Unfortunately, for the actual soundtrack, like 5 of the best songs don't exist on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the rights.
Yeah, because is American Girl on it?
Yeah,
on the actual soundtrack? Yeah.
American Girl's not on. Moving in Stereo is not on. We Got the Beats not on. Kashmir's obviously not on. So
yeah, it's fun.
But that was a big part of this movie because it was like that early 80s, like the soundtrack Valley Girl, that was what sold Valley Girl.
But there's still like little remnants of the 70s. So it's like Damone's like, you gotta listen to Led Zeppelin 4, you know, like it's like they're still talking about classic rock, which I guess would have just been rock back then.
This was a really one of my favorite eras of music from like 78 to 82.
Like the beginning, punk, new wave.
It's not like New Order and and those bands they're not even close. Depeche Mode, The Cure.
Yeah.
They're not quite there yet, but it's not classic rock either. So you have like the Stones have like that's when the Stones have some of my favorite
Damone
songs
has like
Tops.
Some Girls or Emotional Rescue poster.
Yeah. Elvis Costello's in there and it's just getting weird and there's some punk mixed in and Blondie's at their peak. I enjoy their music. All right, do your Amy Heckerling thing.
I just, watching it this time, I was just struck by like, this is such a different movie if a different director does it, and what an amazing touch she has.
David Lynch.
Like David
Lynch. Yeah, David Lynch.
And, you know, she's basically done this twice in her career, which is amazing, where she's made like a perfect high school movie, because another one she does is Clueless. But the similarities with Clueless still, like this is a movie that's a lot about manners and a lot about like miscommunication, and I just think she has such a great touch with, honestly, some of the most controversial scenes of this movie could go so fucking haywire.
Yeah.
If you're not like, hey, they both have to be naked, or like we have to like shoot this from like an even-handed perspective. If it was more exploitative, I don't think we would even be doing this on the pod. You know, it would be Porky's basically.
One thing I was struck watching it, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but watching it from the prism of like just knowing teenage girls, because I went through it with my daughter and a lot of her friends, just have a different perspective. This movie is so good with the two girls, the relationships with them, and then the Jennifer Jason Leigh character. Because when I was growing up, this was like a Spicoli movie to me.
Right.
And it was, I didn't really care about the relationships as much.
Stacey's movie.
It's absolutely.
And then as you get older, you're like, oh, this is Stacey's movie. And then when you actually become a parent, you're like, this is an amazing movie about Stacey.
Yeah.
So I went through all the journey. Give us your Stacey thoughts.
I have lots of Linda thoughts coming up later, but yeah, I agree. To me, like Spicoli is the comedy gold and like the highly memeable quality, and obviously this like iconic performance that is just genuinely exceptional. But it's always been Stacey's movie to me, and maybe that's because when I watched it for the first time, I was a teenage girl, and so it's always felt like she was the primary protagonist, and like Spicoli and Brad are sort of alternate point of view characters, even though Sean Penn is like the lead billing in the movie and like the poster, etc. The Clueless comp and the fact that Amy Heckerling was able to pull this off twice, to Chris's point, like I think I haven't seen Clueless in a while, but I think over the course of my life, I've probably seen that movie more than any other movie, because when I was a kid, I would watch it every other weekend. Like for years on end, because it just felt like indelible and essential to that time in my life. And I think for people who are a little older than me, that's probably what Fast Times was for them. And so to be able to give that to multiple generations of young people watching a movie is like unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, she and Cameron Crowe are not that much older than these kids when they make this movie.
Right.
Which is pretty rare.
Right.
Like, people in their 20s don't usually get an opportunity to make a movie. But when they do it right, like Linklater or Spike Lee or or Cameron Crowe and Amy Heckerling here, like they really nail it because they feel connected to those kids.
I think that point about like where they are in their lives, because am I right that Amy Heckerling was like maybe 27, 28 when they were making the movie? So to your point about how the film doesn't feel judgmental, you were both saying a version of this, like you're close enough to that experience that it feels like the formative, defining years of your life.
Well, they make Damone the bad guy.
But barely.
But like, you're not far enough away that you're looking back and saying, how could we do these things? Or like, how dare people behave this way? You understand how it shapes the course of your life, but still kind of with like a little bit of longing. Like there's a mythology to high school from the people who made it.
Yeah, the fact that they don't judge the characters at all is I think, like what CR said, in the wrong hands, this movie goes sideways in a bunch of bad ways.
Yeah.
It's funny because she made Loser, which is a movie I really wanted to like. And my wife actually loves it. But it's a really frustrating, weird movie with a great soundtrack. And it has a lot of the same beats of Clueless. And it just didn't totally work. And part of it is because of the character. Mina Suvari is the lead.
Yeah.
And it just, the recipe's there and she just can't land the plane. But it makes you realize how hard it is to do Clueless in this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just... not going to pull it off. Jennifer Jason Leigh is a really special actress too.
Oh
like,
my God. Unbelievable performance.
I was trying to think of like the best, and it's weird because it's like basically every 7 years or 6, 7 years, because you have this movie, Say Anything, Ione Skye in that movie is kind of the late 80s version of where this character is in a lot of different ways. She's older. Then you get to Clueless. Mean Girls, I think, is a good one. Like for that feels very 2004. When you just think of movies that feel like they're in the exact year when you watch it.
Yeah.
You know, Mean Girls to me feels like such a 2004 movie.
Yeah, and I think
then you go to Easy A with Emma Stone in like 2010. It's another one. But every 6, 7 years, you get a really special performance where you're like, oh, that girl is definitely going to be famous.
And now it's probably Euphoria.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah, it's kind of depressing, but true.
But I mean,
great
like,
performances.
It is probably the sort of definitional high school thing, even though those people are not high schoolers anymore. Like, obviously, but
I liked. I thought Edge of 17 was really good.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Adventureland we did on the Rewatchables. Yep. There's been a lot of these, and when it's in the right hands, you usually need to have the actress to help pull it off. And sometimes the movie just doesn't have the right actress.
Yeah, well, it's the performers, but it's also how the characters are written and conveyed. Because, like to your Stacey question, part of what I love about the movie is that the girls are just as horny as the guys. Like they have agency and they're active drivers of the things they want, which becomes more normal over time, but is not always what you would necessarily expect to find in a movie about like sex crazed dudes who just want to like watch girls suck on carrots at the cafeteria table.
Yeah.
But Stacey's like,
sorry. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
You need a minute.
Sierra's like, hold on, let me think about that one longingly again. Yeah. I think that's the key part of this movie is that they flipped it.
Yeah.
But
the way that they're talking about like how much comes out when a guy has an orgasm, a quart. That's how guys talked.
It's amazing.
Like, that's the same kind of like misunderstanding that guys would have back. Like
I gotta say though, as an 8th grader seeing this movie though, I was like, wait, they talk about this stuff too? Like it was really like a revelation.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't know they talked about it. How was I gonna know?
And they're also like lying to each other. She's like, I thought you said he lasted for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, that's right. 40 minutes. You know?
Yeah. And you're like, okay, is Linda like embellishing the truth to make Doug sound cooler and superior to like lame high school boys? Does Doug exist?
Right.
Is Doug fake? Is he a figment of creation?
I had that coming up later.
Yeah.
There's some evidence. There's some hardcore evidence. Why do you think Phoebe Cates wasn't a bigger star, CR?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what she was. I mean, we're really curious to go through and find out like what parts she might have been up for.
I snuck into the theater for Paradise with Willie Ames a year later. A Blue Lagoon ripoff with Phoebe. I think she had a lot of regrets after the fact about that movie. But yeah, I just think people really liked her, and for some reason she got typecast because she also was in private school.
It's pretty impossible.
Then you can't get out of it.
To go from being like, when you look at like Jennifer Jason Leigh's career, for instance, like that is astonishing that she is still like, she's on Fargo last year or this year or whatever year.
Hateful Eight, she's in Fargo.
Yeah. To go from that so she's basically
Mal was out on her after Single White Female because she killed the dog. Mal never recovered. Even if it was an actress and it was a fake movie.
Thought we might make it through one Rewatchables without mentioning some terrible fate befalling an animal. But no. Actually, when Stacey and Rad are going through the photos, we do get the casual, needless mention of the dead family pets. Could have done without it.
Nothing made my wife more upset in a movie ever than the puppy getting pushed out the window in Single White Female. And I include all other things that have happened in all other movies. It was the most tragic thing that's ever happened. Awful. That poor puppy. Anyway.
Awful.
I interrupted you.
No, I think we were trying to figure out what happened to Phoebe Cates.
Well, she got married to Kevin Kline and then she had kids. And I think she just...
Seems like she's had a chill life. Yeah.
She was in that weird Alan Cumming movie when he's married to Jennifer Jason Leigh, ironically, and they have the party. Came out in the early 2000s. They have like this party and like all hell breaks loose and people start getting in fights with each other.
She was in Gremlins. She was in Drop Dead. Like
Gremlins is a big one. Yeah, so that was her big one.
The anniversary party, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Interesting movie. Her and Kelly Preston want to redo those careers.
So when you watch Stranger Things, which obviously is set in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've got, sequences that are set at a video store and you walk in and it's like there's a cardboard cutout of Linda, of Phoebe Cates in the bathing suit coming out of the pool in this movie, right?
I needed Mal to bring this up because we need to talk about it. Okay, great.
I'm prepared.
You can do Great Shot Gordo this time.
I actually have a few other contenders for Great Shot Gordo, but they also all involve sex. Yeah. Really all of Stranger Things season 3, like the setting at the mall, obviously that's not like, horny and sexed up like this, but the pool sequences with Billy, like the number of nods and allusions to specifically Phoebe Cates in Fast Times and how defining that would be for a generation of young people. Like the Brad jerking off in the bathroom, fantasizing about Linda, wet, drenched, stepping out of the pool, unbuttoning, unlatching, unfastening her bathing suit top.
Her red bikini.
This is like one of the most iconic stretches in the history of film, and I would like to ask you both today. Is this the moment, the number one moment in the history of cinema that young men getting to know their own bodies and also cinema history have jerked off to over the course of time?
Puberty HGH?
Is this number one?
That's a good question.
I'm so glad you brought this up and I didn't have to, so I didn't seem pervy. I think it's the most important nude scene of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I do.
Oh my God.
I wasn't prepared for this, so I'm trying to think like...
This
That's on you, honestly.
In the research... The actual research on the blockbusters and the video stores, they said that this movie got paused so often on the Phoebe Cates.
The
tape started to wear on the VHS tapes when you rented it.
Yeah.
No, it was I don't know what would be another one. I mean, there was like famous nude scenes like Lacey Underall and Caddyshack. You can go all the way through. But,
Jamie Lee Curtis and Trading Places.
This was the famous one.
Yeah.
But it's weird because you also have to watch Judge Reinhold jerking off. So it's a gamut of emotions.
Great scene.
To watch a guy in a fucking... Is he wearing the pirate's hat or did he take it off?
Can you guys keep it down? I've got some work to do. Indeed.
Yeah, he's got some work to do.
Brad's got some work to do.
Linda's sitting on the diving board.
Oh my God.
Were there not locks on doors in suburban homes in Southern California in 1982?
Apparently not.
What's going on there?
Apparently
the
not.
bathroom?
The thing
Go to your
back
bedroom,
then they just let
Brad.
everything roll right off their back. They're like, you know what? We caught Brad jerking it, but it's okay.
Yeah, just like maybe there are Q-tips elsewhere in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like there was no follow-up scene. Like at
this was
Paris Pizza.
It's great that there wasn't social media because Brad would not have lived this down.
Yeah, tough one for Brad.
Hashtag pool house jerker, like hashtag.
But it's like we talked about in the past. There just wasn't a lot of porn back then, and there wasn't a lot of nudity, and just in
counterpoint.
general.
Have you seen Spicoli's bedroom? There wasn't a lot of porn.
But that's what I mean. There was magazines.
There was nudie mags.
There was no internet.
There wasn't an internet, and like tapes were hard to come by.
So the fact that
so you hear this is
any nude scene in a mainstream movie carried pretty extra weight.
Yeah,
yes, that's the case. Craig, what are your thoughts?
You want them now, or do we want to save
No, so we'll save it for later. So Cameron Crowe said this movie was not very highly regarded by Universal, and they didn't really know what they had, and there hadn't been a lot of success with high school movies.
Fascinating.
A lot of squirming in the seats during the screenings among studio executives.
Universal executives Ned Tannen and Sid Sheinberg said they were worried about putting the future of the studio in the hands of movies like this. And then Ned Tannen said, that's what Crow said, I'm putting the movie up or cutting the theaters down to 200. The movie came out. Everybody loved it. It became this belated little mini hit. And then cable. And I mean, part of the problem with this movie is cable. Some of the funniest lines get bleeped out, cut out.
Yeah.
You have Brad cleaning the mirror in the bathroom, and it just says "eat crap" or something
instead of what it really says.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie, the VHS was the big, but mid '80s. Once VHS really became a thing, this went to all.
It was really crazy because it's like they basically released this in the western part of the United States. That was it, like because obviously it's set in San Fernando Valley, but they put it out like in California, with the intention of putting it on TV and putting it on video like immediately after, and it just kind of caught on. So even though it wasn't a huge box office sensation, it definitely made its money back and more, and then it obviously had legs going forward. But there's a really cool Amy Heckerling story about her. It was in Slate where she's like, I was basically at my apartment and somebody called me and was like, you have to go down to a movie theater right now because it had been out for a couple weeks. And she goes down and everybody is saying the dialogue back to the screen. Oh, man. And these are already people who have seen it like 3 times or whatever. And it's already becoming a cult classic.
Well, people wonder sometimes why we have the rewatchables.
Do they?
And you know how that saying about how, well, like, why do we care? How do we have so many movies? And there's a saying that you'll never love a movie as much as you loved the movies when you were 13.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just this summer, as I'm turning 13, May 28th, 1982, Rocky 3. Poltergeist is after that. E.T., The Thing,
the best.
Blade Runner, World of Card and Garp, Night Shift, Officer and a Gentleman, Last American Virgin, Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D. Saw that in the theater.
I bet.
First Blood. You might have heard of it.
Yeah.
And then we get to The Verdict.
Mm-hmm.
48 Hours. And obviously Fast Times. But like, I don't know.
Boy.
There's not an accident. These are most of my favorite movies. I don't know how we haven't done World of Card and Garp yet. Where do you stand on that movie?
I'm a fan of the movie and of the book.
We haven't done Blade Runner either, by the way.
That's we're saving that one.
For what?
That's like a 2-parter. I might not have to be on that one.
We're standing ready.
Am I sci-fi nerdy enough for that one?
No, we should have Replicant Bill do it.
I was thinking the Star Wars anniversary is. Would it be weird if I hosted Star Wars with you and Van, but I just tried to neg the entire movie?
Yes, it would be weird.
We could just battle about it. It's like, we're in the desert for 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
That would be amazing.
That would be pretty light.
Last act of the rewatchables is movies you don't like, but we have to do. So you're like,
yeah.
All right.
Like,
I'm like Draymond on Inside the NBA, just ragging on players.
Like Star Wars.
Yeah, it
doesn't seem like he does.
It's a rough hang.
I think we would have.
Chris and I are ready for Blade Runner. We're ready.
Yeah.
Fast Times.
LA is ready for Blade Runner.
$5 million budget.
Man.
It made $27 million.
Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Roger Ebert.
Do you
know this, Craig?
No.
Get ready. Buckle up.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your seatbelts on for Raj.
Get into crash positions.
Did people use seatbelts in 82? I don't
know.
No. Definitely not. Roger Ebert, 1 star.
Rough. We all make mistakes. We err.
Here's what he wrote. How could they do this to Jennifer Jason Leigh? How could they put such a fresh and cheerful person into such a scuzz pit of a movie? Don't they know they have a star in their hands? I didn't even know who she was when I walked into Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and yet I was completely won over by her. She contained so much life and light that she was a joy to behold. And then she and everybody else in this so-called comedy is invited to plunge into offensive vulgarity.
I wonder if he ever rethought
Hold on,
this.
CR.
Okay.
Fuck you, Raj.
That is just a wild
It's
take.
an all-time fuck you, Raj.
I don't understand it.
Well, he walked it back, right?
Did he?
Yeah. I think he did a later one where he's like, I missed it. It's like one of those.
I will say that those guys
Teenagers have sex.
were so prolific, and we're probably writing like 2 to 3 reviews a week, and we're watching like 4 or 5 movies. Like, I bet I could see sometimes you go and you're like, fuck this, and write a 1-star review. You're like, I'll never have to think about Sean Penn again.
But it's like kind of weird to basically write your review from the perspective of Mr. Hand? Are y'all on dope?
Yeah.
But Raj was pretty young at this point.
That's what's weird.
Also, like Raj doesn't, Raj wrote Valley of the Dolls,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
That's bizarre.
He called it
I'm surprised by that.
Scuzz Pit.
I'm surprised by that.
Really hurt my feelings. We'll get over it. Raj, every once in a while, even the greats can miss one. 1 star. How many 1-star movies have we done? It's like the third one.
From him, it's like barely
From
any.
him.
Yeah.
1 star is shocking.
Yeah.
1 star is like, there is nothing redeemable about this movie. Shoot it straight to hell.
Yeah.
All right, most rewatchable scene. The intro is unbelievable. The credits.
Yeah.
One of the better opening credit scenes.
Yeah.
And the way it's shot, we just cut, and I'm like, oh, Miss Pac-Man. Oh, and we're just going around, pizza, get all the day. It's the ultimate 80s mall. I just love being there, and we got the beats playing by the Go-Go's.
Fantastic music. You establish the setting that this is like the hub, the clubhouse given scale at large. But it's a short movie. This is a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
And to be able to, in the span of mere moments at the top, not only establish like this is kind of the flow of the social circle, this is how the kids spend their time, but who everybody is and what they do, right? Like we get to see the Perry's Pizza Parlor Pleasure Den crew. We get to see Damone scalping the tickets. We get to see how like Rat looks across the mall and longs to be there. There's so much that we understand about the characters and their dynamics and the things they crave immediately.
It's incredible. Between this and the next scene, which is everybody arriving at the first day of school, it's like there's more in those 2 scenes than a lot of movies have in the entire runtime.
I have this coming up later. First day of Mr. Hand's class is the next rewatchable scene.
Unbelievable.
Hey, I know that dude. Mr. Hand, where are you standing on Mr. Hand, CR?
I'll get to him later.
Okay.
Oh, intriguing. Ooh.
The Spicoli versus Mr. Hand is obviously the most important relationship in this movie.
The Gobert Jokic.
Yeah, it really is.
This movie.
The blowjob carrot scene I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really, really funny payoff. Really, really funny scene. And we've seen a lot of scenes like this in cafeterias. This is probably the best pulled off start to finish comedy scene.
I kind of
when you say best pulled off.
Best pulled off.
I like that a lot of the stuff that happens in this movie feels very easygoing. It's obviously very important to the characters, but like even when Stacy and Linda get caught by like the rest of the cafeteria of what they're doing, they're just kind of like laughing along with it.
Yeah, everyone's on the
like
same team.
Yeah. They're a little embarrassed.
It wouldn't be like being taped on a cell phone now and be like, oh, I'm putting this on Instagram. It's like my fake Instagram.
On his cell phone.
Brad breaking up with Lisa with the mirror that says "Big Hairy Pussy" on it.
Iconic.
And then arguing with a customer about a refund and getting fired.
Incredible.
Awesome 4 minutes.
Oh my God.
I thought Brad was right.
About the
guy ate like 97% of the breakfast.
That guy's like the original. I want to speak to the manager. I mean, he's obviously running a con on Brad.
Definitely.
He's just like, it just was a little undercooked.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Also, do people still do the best thing you've ever had guaranteed or your money back?
I think this movie ruined it.
Yeah. I love the exit from Brad, like banging on the door. Arnold, hope you had a great piss.
You know what, though? I will say there was an era, because I remember Wendy's had an all-you-can-eat buffet, and it was like competitive to be like, fuck you, all you can eat. I'll be here for 6 hours. Just eat.
Yeah.
This is like literally a Curb plot.
No, I know. But like even like in the 80s. So like the idea of it being like, if you don't like it or if you don't think it's the best breakfast you've ever had, return it. I could definitely see some of my friends and I like being like, yeah, I didn't think it was the best I ever had. So I'll take my $2. Like,
great stuff.
Papa Gino's used to have an all-you-can-eat pasta night.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to take house.
Oh my God.
And there was like chemicals in the tomato sauce. So you're kind of high after like the 6th plate.
Was he like mixing and matching?
They had like little
types?
meatballs. No, it was just basically like $6.99 all you can eat. And then we would all have like 2 plates.
Yeah.
And then we'd stay another hour and a half as House just kept eating. And
they
don't do that anymore, right?
Now.
They started a pizza night, but I think we ruined that because we ate all the pizza.
Olive Garden had that, but I think they stopped.
Yeah, those days
I think
are
it's just all as
I
many
think
breadsticks
Olive Garden
as
still
you
has
want.
the breadsticks. Yeah, right? Bottomless breadsticks.
Look, Olive Garden should bring it back.
Was there anything that made you nostalgic about the fast food restaurants in this movie compared to what we have now?
Of course.
Yeah.
And I don't really know
a
what's
mall
different
food
about
court
them. Well, the mall food court was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, less so Captain Hook's.
The fish place?
Yeah, that seemed not great
God.
based on Brad taking one bite and having to throw it out his window.
My dad and I would go to the McDonald's in the 30th Street train station in Philadelphia as like special treat. Like, we're going to go to get McDonald's tonight for dinner.
Yeah. The All-American Burger, definitely. It's like, and that also feels like so very like American Graffiti, right? It's so central to like a high school experience. You go, you get your burgers, you get your fries. Spicoli gets kicked out or yelled at because he's not wearing a shirt, etc. Wonderful.
Next scene I have Damone's 5-point plan.
Yes, I have that.
Same.
Never let on how much you like a girl. Strong start, actually. I actually agree with that advice. Always call the shots. They're starting to get a little dicey. Act like wherever you are, that's the place to be.
I like when he's like, he's kind of like miming, is it?
Order food for the both of you?
Yeah.
No.
Strong.
Out.
That's
no.
We're now in the Harrison Bunker territory.
Yeah. Now we're like, I know you're going to get a degree.
Mike Damone's 5-point plan, co-written with Harrison Bunker. And then when making out, put on side one of Led Zeppelin 4.
Yeah.
That's where it really falls apart.
That's incredible.
He was doing
and then
so
the
well.
cut.
Is there ever been in the movies or in real life a guy who's like, I have a 5-point plan and it doesn't sound like the work of Hannibal Lecter? Like, this is basically the early version of the dentist system from Sonny's. And it's like, no guy who's ever like, here's my foolproof plan. The game, this.
That guy's never hooked up with a girl.
Yeah, he's always going to get arrested for scalping Ozzy Osbourne tickets.
I agree, but also like the alternate read on it is like, from a certain point of view, you look at this and you're like, is this just Tony Stark? Right down to the Led Zeppelin.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
You know, there is like a billionaire playboy energy
Tony
to
Scalp. Spicoli crashes Jefferson's car right into the football scene.
Yeah.
The football scene was a really important scene.
Yes.
I don't know if it's gained or it's lost impact over the years, but it made me so happy for the entire 80s. And I remember using it as a pop culture joke for columns for years about like he was like Jefferson after his car got totaled. And he's just like annihilating. And they're clearly filming these poor stuntmen. We're just like, okay, and action. And he's just killing the next guy.
Wild.
It's really fun to watch.
It's also the first time where you're like, is Spicoli a genius?
Yeah.
Not the last time, though.
Yeah.
Not the last time.
Next scene. Uh-oh.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Chris. She's getting up from the pool. The pool scene.
Good.
I agree with Mal's take that it is refreshing to watch two guys just show up at somebody's house and it wasn't like a misdemeanor.
Yeah. It's
It's like, hey guys, what are you doing?
This entire
when did the
sequence.
hey guys, what are you doing era end? Like with
I think as soon as you had to text
social media?
Yeah,
I think texting.
Because then there's
texting
no
killed that.
Yeah, there's no excuse to like show up without knowing if someone wants to see you. Like back when kids were just riding their bikes to each other's houses in the neighborhood before you're driving. You're still doing that all the time, but now it's like, are you around?
Through like Blackberries and starting to text better, I still would just be like, at 5 o'clock, there would be like an email thread that was like, hey, we're going to go to this bar at 8 in New York. And it was just assumed you'll be at that bar until 2.
Right.
Yeah. And people will come and go get pizza or come back or go to the movies and come back. But like this bar will be the central location.
Right.
So just come and go as you please. And texting made it a lot more like, I'm 15 minutes late. Actually, it's busy here. Do you guys want to meet somewhere else? Like all that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah. The pool sequence, like even before the guys show up and before Brad gets there and before the iconic Phoebe Cates stretch, the Rate Your Mate magazine quiz part of it is also a really underrated part of this wonderful stretch of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, do you always climax with Doug? Yeah. I think so. Like, they're just the best.
Yeah.
I also like the house. It's like such a classic Valley house.
Yeah.
The pool is like almost inside the house. It's so close to the thing and it's just sunny and it just felt Valley-ish to me. This is a weird thing to write in my Rewatchables notes, but the abortion day scene is really good.
Yeah.
It's just well handled. The Stevie Nicks song is good. It's Brad showing up there. It's like Brad's first redeemable act in the movie. It's like, what a good brother.
Yeah.
Glad he's looking out
That's
for
also
her.
like I don't have any siblings, but that is like a really awesome like sibling moment where it's like, yeah, you guys aren't like friends, but like at a point you'll look out for the
person. And they have
a
few of those, like hiding the flowers, right, etc. Like the fact that this is a big brother who's, again, not judgmental, he's not preachy, but he's like, you can kind of come to me if you need to make sure that mom and dad don't like know about.
I like
Ron
that she's
Johnson
like,
sending
please
you
don't
flowers.
tell mom and dad. And he's like, obviously.
Yeah.
Like there is still that like, hey, we are siblings.
He's more like, I want to pound, like I want to kick whoever did this ass.
Yeah. In the deleted scenes, there's a couple more with them. There's where the relationship's a little deeper. Yeah. They cut it out because, this was 90-minute movie era.
In and out, just like Damone.
Mr. Hand shows up at Spicoli's house. It's just really funny. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen with
you
this?
took 8 hours of my time.
Wild.
The robbery.
Yeah.
Right into the closing credits.
Fantastic.
I like the movies, and I don't know, this movie didn't start it. I don't know if Stripe started or who started it, but where they have the cards at the end of what happened to everybody, and they're making fun of Animal House maybe started it.
Takes away the Z1 award, but yeah.
Yeah. It's just funny.
Can't speculate as much, but the closing montage is fantastic.
What do you have for most rewatchable, Mal?
Well, I can't believe you don't have Mike and Stacy fuck in the changing room on here.
Makes me too uncomfortable. It's not rewatchable for me.
What?
Yeah, I don't like it.
What? The camera
have it for
hovering
other
over
part.
Damone's quivering lilac socks as he comes in 0.2 seconds? Like, I really gotta go, Stace. I really gotta go. Didn't you feel it? That's like maybe the best line of the movie. I think I came, didn't you feel it? It's like, you can't have the movie without that moment. It's unbelievable. Didn't you feel it? She's like,
That's your most rewatchable scene?
I can't believe we went through the category without mentioning it.
I had it in a later spot, but that's fine.
My most rewatchable scene is the pool scene.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the pool scene. The only one I have that you didn't have is Rat's date with Stacy.
Yeah, the not worse date. I have that too.
And sitting in the big chairs. And
can we just get 2 more Cokes?
Yeah, they keep ordering because he doesn't have his wallet.
Yeah.
I always love that.
Great stuff.
What's age the best? 90-minute movies.
Wild.
90-minute movies set over the course of a school year. School year is...
Craig, were you just in disbelief?
I need to go back to a different time. The 80s, man. Every movie was like an hour 40.
It's just so awesome.
It's amazing.
They do... Their first day of orientation, it's fucking Christmas, like 15 minutes later.
It's like 90 minutes with credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mall movies.
Yes.
Also.
Yeah.
We should have had like 5, 6, 8 more mall movies, and I don't know what everybody was doing.
The mall as a setting is just absolute perfection.
So then the third thing I have is 90-minute mall movies. What's age the best? What do you have, CR?
Oh, man.
Judge Reinhold doing a monologue into a mirror with a graffiti that says Big Hairy Pussy.
That's my great shot, Gordo. Framing.
I gotta say,
so good.
The record store in the mall, Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
where we hear the 5-point plan.
Yeah. And Linda and Stacy's older, younger sister dynamic is great. Like their friendship is you don't like it.
I do.
You think Linda was leading her astray.
I really like it. I've got some thoughts coming up in What's Age the Worst on some of the specific counts.
What'd you have for What's Age the Best?
We had a lot of them. The soundtrack, the genre, the girls being just as horny as the guys, the mall as the setting, the cast, Spicoli. Oh, the Notebook. Getting glimpses of like kids who have notebooks that they're writing in by hand.
And Damone actually has abortion written on the notebook page.
Do you remember what's right below it? Abortion, $75. Right below it. Next line, Rod Stewart, $60. Like to get to glimpse that, and then we get to see Stacy's notebook elsewhere, and she's writing out all the different versions of like Mrs. Stacy Damone, and then the pro con list for Damone and under con virgin ? Just wonderful stuff, absolutely wonderful stuff. The end credits, the runtime, we've hit it all.
I have some more. Mike's room, the posters.
Take a second here.
Devo, Elvis Costello, the Tattoo You poster's incredible.
So for the entirety of like my life. Teenagers' rooms never look real because you watch like a Law and Order episode and they go into some guy's room and he's got like a helmet poster up or whatever, or like a Tool poster. And it's like, this kid didn't listen to Tool. Like, what are you talking about? Or it's just one poster and that's it. And it's like Damone's room may be the most realistic teenager room I've ever seen.
Right down to the mini bar stocked with Kahlua.
This would have been a good list.
But you know what? That Kahlua was the kid drink because it tasted sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost Famous, the kid Williams' room is good too with all the music posters. Yeah. Mike Damone, I had for What's Age the Best, just a Hall of Fame sleaze.
Yeah.
Oh
where you kind of like him, but he's like, fucking asshole. I hate this guy. But you're kind of like, you can see why other people.
Did you have a bookie in your high school?
I have no comment.
Is that where you learned about the 14
no
point
comment.
spread?
Do you think they're going to revoke your fucking
no
diploma?
Comment. No comment at all.
Wait, I have a lot more Damone questions for this, though.
Okay. What's Age the Best? Those VW vans.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
The guy code, not in enough movies where Damone, it's like you just know he's a scumbag because of how he handled the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they mentioned the guy code. I don't remember if the guy code had been in a lot of movies before that, but this was a very important guy code movie.
But he violated it.
That was
he
the
violated
point.
it, and then he also lets him off scot-free at the end.
This is a picking nit for me. I don't think Rat forgives Damone that quickly.
No. Rat's got everything going for him, you know?
I don't think it is either. I love when the kid says about Jefferson, wow, does he really live here? I thought he just flew in for games.
That's amazing. That part's great.
I love also the little Damone thing is Damone insisting him and Jefferson are tight. It's like, that's my man.
My God, I hope to pick out that car. And then the Damone says, if this girl can't smell your qualifications, then who needs her? Which was advice Cameron Crowe got from Glenn Frey.
Is it really?
And put it right in the movie.
Right down to member of the honor roll. Like listing member of the honor roll as one of his qualifications is so funny to me. I love that.
What's Age the Best? You're not going to be surprised. Sean Penn and Stoltz and Anthony Edwards were actually smoking pot in the van as they exited for the prom.
Yeah,
and they
method acting.
They method acted the shit out of that. And then
oh man,
Spicoli's surfing title fantasy, which ends up with Stu Nahan of the Rocky movies, adding to his legendary IMDb, but was supposed to be Johnny Carson, which is a What's Age the Best that Johnny Carson said, I am turning that down. And Ed was like, yes, sir, turn it down. Spicoli's room I also like, but then the last one I have for What's Age the Best is they all sniffed the Xerox copies,
yes,
which is the thing we did in the 80s. It had a certain smell and it made you like a tiny bit high.
Yeah, because it was from the Ditto machine, right? Yeah.
It did it was like doing a whip it, but probably safer.
Incredible.
Great Shot Gordo, who'd you have?
Do you know what I had?
I thought that was the pause that Gordo.
Rewind that Gordo. Yeah.
Den of Thieves, Benihana Award.
Did you disagree with that, or is there
Great Shot Gordo? I mean, that's
Big Hairy Pussy's pretty
Big Hairy
good
Pussy
too.
was one of my nominees, and I think also the from Stacy's perspective shot of stereo guy Ron Johnson like
right
like
and
transforming into a basilisk
as
as he arches his neck and head at the point is genuinely wonderful.
Den of Thieves, Benihana Award, Scene, Still, and Location, obviously the mall.
Has to be.
Kid Cudi, Pursuit of Happiness Award, Best Needle Drop. American Girl.
I got American Girl.
I think it's
strong.
American Girl. Yeah. That's just
and then
it's so sick when he's pulling into the parking lot. Yeah.
Big Kahuna Burger Award, Best Use of Food and Drink, the pizza delivery. Because we get to see the pizza. The pizza looks good.
Taylor Negron.
Oh, yeah. Our guy Taylor.
Yeah.
The pizza's nice and greasy, and it's like, it looks good.
Double cheese and sausage.
Butch's Girlfriend Award, weak link of the movie. What do you got, Sierra?
I actually don't have a weak link for this movie. I think that
I have one to carry it for all three of us.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, what do you have?
I'm afraid to say it. I think you're going to be mad at me.
No, go.
You've already mentioned that the Jefferson football sequence is an important part of the Bill Simmons canon.
I didn't say it was a good football sequence.
It's not even that part I actually really like, right? You're trying to track the tackles and the sacks. Like watching the opposing Lincoln players twitch on the ground, it reminds me now of like the murder football sequence in Bottoms.
Yeah.
I actually love that scene. I love the spirit bunnies mentioned, but there's not then enough sports in the movie to have that sports presence. It's like, it feels to me very like high school, the jocks, the sports. We've got to check that box to like flesh out what the complete high school experience is. And I actually think the sports stuff that is in there is so great. I want a little bit more of it. Like seeing Spicoli in the bleachers at the football game is an unbelievable moment.
Yeah.
I just want more of that.
Yeah.
So
The
you
paper
wanted like
airplane at the
you
pep
wanted like
rally.
a Friday night pep rally before the game, and
Just like a couple other moments where they're at games. They're
we
at
only had
different
90 minutes, Mal.
I
We had
know.
to rip through this thing. We had to get
guess.
to 9 months of school.
Well, you should the sequel prequel answer should be like Friday Night Lights, but at Ridgemont with these characters.
Jefferson just wreaking
Yeah.
havoc.
Yeah, like I want to see them in the gym shooting hoops for a few minutes before the Rat Damone locker room fight, you know?
My weak link, two pump Mike Damone. Like, what the fuck, dude? You're a ticket scalper. You're a cool kid on campus.
But this is why it's genius.
What the hell?
Two pump.
So I have my premature ejaculator Mount Rushmore.
Can we make a pyramid for this? Please?
Yes, we do.
Oh my
Can we make a
God.
pyramid?
No, it's a Mount it's a Mount I came to fast more. Forrest Gump, obviously, which we broke down in
Oh my
detail.
God.
In these
Damone
things.
Mountain.
Mike Damone, Jim Carver and Ice Storm in the Key Party.
Oh yeah.
Hopping on Joe and Al in there for about 4 pumps, and then that was it. And then Jim Levinston, American Pie.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
it.
I
Those
think
are
Forrest
those are
is
the
still
Forrest
the
is
George Washington of
number
this,
one.
but yeah.
Forrest is MJ.
Yeah.
Number one.
I think
that
Mike
poor roommate
Damone's
in her
probably
bathroom.
Kareem because he was kind of a little bit villainy.
I wish
Jim Levinston, American Pie, definitely LeBron, and then Jim Carver and Ice Storm. I don't know who he is.
What do
Bill
you think
Russell?
would happen just to you, to this company, if we took what you just said and put it at the top of your Jokic pod tonight? And like, we're going to get to game 6 in a minute, but first, the all-time Mount Rushmore of premature ejaculators.
So I was trying to think. Those were the 4 in my head, and I tried to Google it to see if there was more, and just
Yeah,
some
it's
tough.
horrible things
Yeah.
came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the exact search term you used?
I used premature ejaculator movies, and then that was a mistake.
Jesus Christ, Phil. You got to have Ben or somebody
That
help
was
you
a
with these.
mistake.
Yeah.
Listen, there's some
God.
porn fetish sites that came
Oh
up
my
that
God.
frankly I was surprised by.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Did you do
then
this
I
on your work
added-
computer?
I added Forrest Gump. I used my iPad. Forrest Gump. I
Not
put
much
Forrest
longer.
Gump, Mike Damone, premature ejaculator movies.
Oh my God.
It still didn't work.
Yeah.
There wasn't. I was
Well,
disappointed.
if anybody's
Holy shit.
listening or watching on YouTube, they can leave in the comments some of the great premature guys.
How did Bleacher Report not do this during the Bleacher Report list era? They couldn't have done a top 20?
A slideshow.
Different photos?
It's possible that it exists. It's just a very competitive SEO field.
So who lasted longer, Forrest Gump or Mike Damone?
Oh,
Forrest?
Damone.
Yeah.
Damone.
Yeah,
Forrest,
definitely.
she, like,
Forrest
basically makes
grazes
contact.
a nipple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's it.
Forrest was like,
like-
under a second?
Yeah. Forrest is just like
There's no
once it-
penetration for Forrest.
I don't even think Forrest understands what's happening. That's which is a problematic situation in and of itself. But Damone, at least, is like Damone makes it onto the court. You know, he throws the powder up in the air like LeBron, walks out on the court.
Two pump Mike Damone.
Is it 2 pumps? I don't know.
You think it's like 1?
Yeah, I think we're at like just the tip.
You should Google how many pumps for Mike Damone.
I'm going to do that later. I knew Matt would enjoy
Short,
it.
Oh my
watch his
God.
Google stuff. Oh no!
It was a
I should
mistake.
have been more specific.
I was moving fast and it just was a mistake. Some things came up that I cannot see.
Why is there so much Russian on my computer now?
I'm going to Google stuff on Twitch for the next hour if you guys want to watch.
Yeah.
Oh my
I was like
God.
George C. Scott in hardcore. I was like, oh
my God.
no.
Unbelievable.
What stage the worst? Going back to high school undercover as an adult?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's
That's
That people
of a moment in time.
Yeah.
For sure.
so this might just be me personally, but Jennifer Jason Leigh, post single way female, she's so traumatic in that movie as a character that when I see her in other movies, I can't unwind the character. You
I
know,
would
there's
also, you could probably say the idea of having a 19-year-old be nude multiple times in a major Hollywood movie probably wouldn't happen
so
anymore.
what stage the worst?
Right.
Well, it just is like
Pretending to be a 15-year-old?
Yeah.
There's a real like, are these Game of Thrones characters?
Yeah.
Quality
Yeah.
to all of that. Yeah.
1982 abortion, $75 and a ride. That was one of the themes of this movie. I don't know if it's aged that great. I feel like we've had more dialogue about
Well, yeah,
the
but
concept
I
sense.
would say that this movie just like takes abortion at face value, like
Yeah,
in a way
$75
that
at a ride.
lots of movies afterwards are like really dancing around or can't say it out
Right.
loud. Like,
Yeah.
like Knocked Up. It's not like Knocked Up like gets into it the way that this movie does.
Yeah, definitely.
Smoking's upstairs to the left in the movie theater. CR was like,
but you have it like
fucking
you're
A, I love
longing
1982.
for it.
Can you imagine?
CR's like, let's go to the movies. Up and to the left.
Oh my
the CR
God.
section. What do you have for What's Age the Worst, Mal?
My first What's Age the Worst is Bill Googling guys who came too quickly movies.
No, there was premature ejaculation movies. And for some
You
reason, I
didn't
didn't
write movie
add
characters.
stuff. I just fucked up.
My God.
I did it too fast and bad things happened.
Movie characters who are bad at sex.
Meta,
like-
I did it too fast and bad things happened. Yeah.
Next thing you knew.
Yeah.
I premature Googled.
Okay. Here's my first What's Age the Worst.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the Linda-Stacy relationship and friendship is really nice. They empower each other. They support each other. I think that some of the actual counsel that Linda imparts to Stacy is lacking, right? And some of it is like, if he says anything remotely funny, just laugh, like that stuff, right? Or,
yeah.
Stacy, what are you waiting for? You're 15 years old. Okay. We would be derelict in our duty if we made it through this podcast without saying out loud that Linda's blowjob advice is lacking. It's lacking, right? Here's what she says.
I wasn't prepared for
this. There's nothing to it. It's so easy. Relax your throat muscles. Don't bite. I mean, okay. And slide it in. Push it slowly in and out. You got it. Now she's using the skinny little carrot, this feeble little carrot, right?
Mal, it's
what
like
are
you're
you
doing
preparing Stacey
Nick's
for?
film room, but for the blowjob.
Poor Doug. Like, Doug must be a pencil dick. This is if Doug is real, which I'm not so sure, then we've learned something. Yeah. Something troubling here about Doug. And so has the entire cafeteria.
Yeah.
Poor Doug, right?
Yeah.
Go get a cucumber or something, right? No.
You don't have to make eye contact with me. It's okay.
No commentary on like tongue technique or varying pressure or pace. It's just like you're supposed to be a friend and a guide on the journey of life, and this is just simply not sufficient counsel. I'm sorry.
I just want to say I'm so glad Van isn't here because this could have been the final Rewatchables episode. Yeah, she doesn't offer any advice on the balls.
It's not sufficient.
You're right. It was a rudimentary lesson.
Terrible.
Do you know what my next What's Age the Worst one was?
This moment right
switching
here?
to Senka.
Oh, yeah.
I had that down too. Yeah. What does switching to Senka mean? Was that tea
with Senka,
or decaf?
Senka's the crystals.
The
decaf,
it's like
it's the decaf.
I can't remember what Senka was.
Yeah.
Senka is like the sob of beverages.
I think Senka respectfully probably tastes like old barbecue coals. Like it's.
I don't ever remember having Senka. What else did you have, Mal? You have more Linda stuff?
Jesus Christ.
I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah.
I feel like you have one more in there.
No, I'm good. Good.
The Pat Benatar look is Age the Worst.
Yeah.
Even though it in the moment was tremendous. Yeah. But I don't know if anyone, there's no way Craig knew what that meant.
I knew what that meant.
Okay. Scalpers?
Mm-hmm.
Really scalpers anymore. Yeah, scalpers and bookies.
The internet really wiped those guys out.
Why does Perry's pizza look so gross and awful?
The pizza looks terrible.
It's like Detroit-style square pizza, and it looks like there's no cheese on it. It just looks gross.
Yeah. So wait, but Perry's isn't what Spicoli gets delivered, is it?
No, Perry's Pizza is where the girls work.
Yeah. So he's going to a rival shop.
Yeah.
He,
of
that's
course,
where probably the better pizza.
Knows what to
I think
order.
I'm gonna get pizza tonight. Just all this talk of pizza.
How about What's Age the Worst? Teenage girls named Linda?
Oh, I love all the names.
Linda,
when was the last Linda?
Lisa, Stacy.
It's a great call. There's no Lindas.
There's no Lindas.
If you're born named Linda, you're just immediately 40.
Yeah. I knew a Linda once in my life, but it was an adult. Yeah. You're right.
My Aunt Linda is my godmother. She's 78.
Yeah.
See, there you go. Everybody's got an old Aunt Linda.
There's a Nancy Wilson cameo in this movie that they kind of zoom by.
She's the woman in the car who sees that Judge Reinhold is driving by when he's like
She's got an unusual, not like her typical heart hairdo, so it's hard to recognize her.
When he has somehow forgotten that he's wearing a pirate hat.
Yeah.
And then this is a big one.
He often does.
Maybe we should just have a Rewatchables category called I'm Older Than You, and then I do something like this. But Damone has these circle pins with band pictures on his jacket.
Okay.
He had two, and it was like, I don't know who the bands were. This was a big thing specifically in 1982 and 1983.
They're not bands.
Yeah, but they were bigger though.
Oh, like bigger ones?
A little bigger. But I remember I had a U2 one and I had Men at Work. But this was like a thing. And then it just went away and it never happened again. But for 2 years, this was
people used to put band pins on their courier bags, jean jackets. They still do.
The fashion in general is great.
Yeah.
Great.
What's Age the Worst? There was a 1986 television series titled Fast Times.
Yeah.
And they got Ray Walston and Vincent Schiavelli to play Hand and Vargas. And then Patrick Dempsey was Mike Damone. Did not last. This is in the research. I'm sure you guys saw this, that for his masturbation scene, Judge Reinhold brought a large dildo to work with, unbeknownst to the rest of the cast. And that's why Phoebe Cates' look of horror and disgust is so real. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I believe this, but
when you
it's
were
on
researching this, did you Google large dildos movies?
I did.
Judge Reinhold dildo.
I just did large dildo pool scene, and nothing came up.
That's because your computer's been taken over.
Oh my God.
And then there's a way worse pool house sex scene where she shows everybody naked, including him, and she was really wanted and they gave it an X rating, and they had to cut stuff.
Yeah.
Should have kept it.
They weren't ready for Cox in 1982, apparently. Any other What's Age the Worst, or we're moving on?
We can move on.
Okay. What do you got for the Ruffalo Hannah Rubinick Partridge Overacting Award?
I got Kelly Maroney, who's the cheerleader, who's like, we're gonna kill Lincoln next week. All right. But the runner-up would be James Russo.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I had Mark Ratner getting mad at Damone in the locker room.
Oh, you thought he was
tries to dial it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had it in him. We weren't dealing with Pacino on this one.
Interesting. Okay.
So you're a bad friend. Was there a better title for this movie? No. The Can You Dig It award for most memorable quote?
Relax your throat muscles.
It's no huge thing. It's just sex. It's kind of the semi-theme of this movie.
I had what Jefferson was saying is, hey, we left this England place because it was bogus. So if we don't get some cool rules ourselves pronto, we'll just be bogus too.
Pearls of wisdom from Spicoli always. All I need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
The CR thinks Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford Hottest Take Award.
Oh, man.
Mr. Hand's a pretty good teacher.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Spicoli by the end of the night is spitting out stuff about Jefferson. Yeah. I feel like he was, for U.S. history in high school, is getting pretty deep into some legislation that I frankly didn't know about. And I think that maybe we got away from what worked in American education. And we should have more Mr. Hands, less Montessori. I don't have kids.
What do you have?
I don't really know if mine is the hottest take, but it does pair. Interestingly, it's like a foil take to yours, which is just that I think Spicoli is a genius and a scholar. Like, he's presented as adult, but when he says, "Isn't it like our time?" Right? Isn't it? He has a philosophy on life that is keen and astute, and like, he is able to identify something essential about the human experience. And to your point about him rattling off true facts about history, I don't know. I was watching what they were all filling in on their multiple choice bubbles on whatever those forms used to be called. And he was writing Jeff and then doodling circles around it and lines. So I don't know that he was absorbing that insight necessarily from Mr. Hand. I think he just understands life. People on lewds should not drive, right? You already noted that he's able to pull off the car scam flawlessly. If we don't get some cool rules ourselves pronto, we would be bogus too, is like his view on the world and his view on history. It has something to do with Mr. Hand. Mr. Hand didn't teach him shit.
Yeah, but he taught him who Jefferson was.
He knew what truancy meant. When Mr. Hand said truancy, Spicoli knew what that meant, which I think tells us.
So your thing is, your hottest take is Jeff Spicoli is secretly smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Genius.
I think I'm going to win hottest take this round. We should have Craig decide who had the best hottest take every episode. Ron Johnson,
audio salesman,
child predator.
Yeah.
Is that a hottest take or just a fact?
26-year-old guy
That's a fact.
eating meatball subs by himself in a mall.
Yeah.
hitting on teenagers. How old are you? Oh, I'm 19.
Are you sure you're 19? Also,
he's like, let's go to my high school baseball dugout.
Yes, that.
He doesn't have his own apartment.
He goes to the point, which is where it's established because like Brad asked Lisa about it. That's where the high school kids go to hook up.
Yeah.
Predator.
Yeah.
Ron Johnson, not just a stereo salesman, deserves to go to jail. Then sends flowers, memories of you, Ron Johnson.
It's like, she's not dead. You could just call her.
Also, this is a pick and nit, but how did he know where she lived if she didn't tell him where she lived? And
Yellow Pages?
And met him at a secret location so she wasn't in front of her house.
Yeah.
Ron Johnson. Casting what ifs. You mentioned the David Lynch thing. That was who Universal recommended, and they decided
hard to even
that was
comprehend.
A mistake.
Yeah,
it would have been a much darker movie.
Astonishing alternate history that I can't wrap my mind.
You could
around.
just see like a quart of jizz flying around in this one. If David Lynch got his
like Migs.
Yeah.
I thought this was a crazy one. Justine Bateman was offered Linda Barrett and turned it down because she had family ties.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because she was another iconic 80s.
That's
80s
where we got the name Mallory. So.
Yeah, Mallory. Think about that. Maybe you're not Mallory.
That would be great. Perhaps my parents would never have seen Mallory on Family Ties and would have picked a different name. That would
Maybe they would
have
been Linda.
Well, that would have been terrible.
I think she would have been a good Linda, though.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I always want to see her in a thing like that. Yeah, two massive ones. Nick Cage was supposed to be Brad Hamilton. Auditioned for it, and they decided he was too young.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so there's a Matthew Broderick piece of this.
Yeah.
That the correct version of it is that they really want him in the movie and couldn't figure out a part. But then as the years pass, it morphed into they wanted him as Spicoli.
Yeah.
And I don't think that part's true. I think they really liked him and they couldn't figure out where to put him.
And then Penn read for Brad and Spicoli, I think, which is a funny what if, like if he plays Brad.
Interesting.
The big one for me was Jodie Foster as Stacy.
Yeah, did you believe that though?
Well, I believe that she was like, it was offered to her and she decided she was going to stay at college. It would definitely be a weird role. She's obviously also not afraid of doing pretty like boundary pushing stuff. So
like a Nell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other people auditioned, Ali Sheedy, Meg Tilly, and Ralph Macchio. And then they offered Fred Gwynne the role of Mr. Hand, but he thought the movie was too nasty. Fred Gwynne, Herman Munster back in the day, eventually was in My Cousin Vinny. And that's it. Best That Guy award, would you go with Taylor the Pizza Guy or Vincent Schiavelli?
Vincent Schiavelli.
Okay.
Mr. Vargas, yeah.
Who then just continues to play this role from that point on. Deion Waiters award, is Mr. Hand eligible?
I think he's in too much of it. I got Whitaker.
Yeah, I have Jefferson.
Russo or Stoltz. Yeah.
I have Stoltz.
Stoltz.
Quietly great.
He's so awesome.
Quietly great.
I vote for Jefferson.
And another Clint Howard. Stoltz is just in another Cameron Crowe thing here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why he's a Cameron Crowe. I think that's how it started because he was in it. Recasting couch. I don't love Brad's girlfriend, and she's been in a bunch of movies from the 80s, and I never got it. It was one of those, it was like, Derek Carr. It's like,
So who do you think is
you just want to go 9 and 8? Like, why don't we get a real quarterback here?
Wow.
Like Kelly Preston's right there, guys.
Oh, God.
There's a bunch of good ones we could have had. I don't know. I never got it with her. She has some big roles in the 80s.
Okay. It feels like she's just getting put in the Dana Wheeler Nicholson category with you.
What did you have?
For recasting couch, I mean, I just was obsessed with the Lynch part. So I was just thinking about that.
Tony Romo or Chris Collinsworth for director's commentary. I'll do the Romo and then you're going to do Collinsworth?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I can't wait for this.
Brad's going to the bathroom, Jim. He doesn't want peace and quiet for no reason, Jim. That window looks right out of the pool, Jim. Would you have, Belle? Romo or Collinsworth?
Jim! She said Doug lasts 20 to 30 minutes, Jim, but she previously said 30 to 40 minutes, Jim. Is Doug real, Jim? Is he a one-bumper, Jim?
I'm going to hear your Romo in my fucking nightmares.
It's Tony Romo with an I.
Oh, Mike, you got to pay for your half of the abortion. Stacy's being reasonable.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
She just needs a ride.
No, she's just a ride. $75,
Come on, Mike.
That's a deal.
Half-assed internet research.
Mm-hmm.
Mall scenes filmed at Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
After hours.
Poor
And
Collinsworth.
the high school scenes took place at Van Nuys High School.
Oh.
So Crow based Mark Ratner on the student that he hung out with, Andy Rathbone, who then wrote a lot of the For Dummies books, which I thought was interesting. Jennifer Jason Leigh, she worked at the Sherman Oaks Gallery Perry's Pizza restaurant for 3 weeks to get ready. So apparently Perry's Pizza existed. Not there anymore. Not sure what happened to Perry. Phoebe Cates was a teen model who appeared on the cover of 17 magazine 4 times and then went into acting. And then Lana Clarkson is in this movie as Vincent Schiavelli's wife.
Yeah.
She's the lady that Phil Spector murdered.
Sorry.
21 years later.
Just the way you said that. It's not funny. Please cut that.
What's wrong with you?
I honestly didn't know that was who it was. And I was like, I thought she was going to be in like porn or something.
We have to keep it. But yeah, she murdered by Phil Spector.
When is this pod running? And did you know when you scheduled it that it would be the last episode of the Rewatchables?
Maybe we'll save it for the last one.
Oh my god.
She's in the credits courtesy of Phil Spector International, which is weird.
That's dark.
All right, Apex Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving you Sean Penn, but what about young Sean Penn?
So what would this be?
Where's
it would be
the
Taps.
divide?
Like 81, 85 Sean Penn.
Oh. Yeah.
Would you go here or Bad Boys?
Is At Close Range in? It's too late.
After. Yeah.
I go this.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is bigger than Bad Boys. Yeah.
Phoebe Cates.
Yes.
Probably, yeah. Jennifer Jason Leigh, no, but what is it?
She's a hard one for Apex Mountain.
I'd probably say, did she win an Oscar ever?
I don't know the answer. It feels like she's been in our lives for like 100 years. Single White Female was a big movie. What about that Jason Patrick movie, Rush?
Rush was awesome. She was in Backdraft. She's single.
Early 90s, I felt like was her moment. So
yeah.
It's somewhere in there. Masturbation scenes. We've probably done better.
No.
Yeah. Van Halen tickets?
I'm not Googling it, I'll tell you that.
Van Halen tickets?
I scalping in movies?
Scalping movies I have.
Yeah.
Mall movies?
It's this, Mallrats.
I think it's this for mall movies.
I think so.
Valley movies?
So it's this or Boogie Nights?
Boogie Nights. Yeah.
Boogie Nights wins. How about the 1973 AMC Gremlin?
Yeah.
That was Mike Damone's car.
Yeah.
Jefferson's car. 1979 Chevrolet Camaro Z28.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Petty songs in a movie?
Free Fallin' and Jerry Maguire.
Free Fallin' wins that.
Has to be Free Fallin'.
All right, it's time. Cruiser Hanks.
Well, Hanks. Wasn't it offered to Hanks?
Yeah.
Wasn't Hanks in the mix for Brad?
Right?
And then he winds up doing Bachelor
It's
Party?
a tough one. We've never had a Cruiser Hanks where there's no star of the movie. So it's almost like you got to go with Brad.
I like to think about like Cruz playing Spicoli because Cruz and Penn were like neck and neck right around here.
I don't know if he could have done it. I almost think Cruz as Ratner would have been more interesting. He just could have gone Joel Goodson-ish.
Yeah, I mean, Cruz as Damone would have been amazing.
That would have been incredible.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have done the two pump
this is
Mike,
Hanks.
though.
It's Hanks.
He saw that part of the script. He's like, I'm out. Tom Cruise has to last.
Until Stanley Kubrick was like, let's revisit that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Hanks. I think it's Hanks as Brad.
Yeah.
Score is 5-5.
Great.
Wow.
Racehorse, rock band, wrestler, fantasy team name. All-American Burgers.
I got Ron Johnson, audio consultant, as my racehorse.
My racehorse is The Attitude.
Oh.
The way that the must The
I like
Attitude.
Picky Nits. Why didn't Rat go for it with Stacy after the first date? What happened there?
I assume he creamed his pants and had to run out of there.
They didn't do the Forrest Gump. Like, he didn't do any convulsion, though. I rewound it to see. It seemed like he was trying to play cool, but I just didn't understand his motivation.
I think he's just very nervous. Right?
Like, he liked her too much?
He was not expecting that sex would be on offer, right? She's immediately, like, in the bathrobe. They're in her bed, and he's just simply not prepared. So he has to whip out, if not his penis, then the story about his sister needing the car. No comment when the tape deck was stolen about how mad his sister would be. So yeah, he just seems to be panicking.
What was the age difference between Linda and Stacy? And would Linda actually hang out with Stacy?
I think Stacy's supposed to be a sophomore and Stacy's supposed to be a junior or a senior.
Stacy's 15 and a sophomore, and yeah, Linda's a couple years older.
Linda's in Brad's year, right? So Brad's his last year, so he's a senior. Brad's he's graduating. So I think,
but she's talking about her fiance Doug. So why is she engaged?
But she's got to be a senior because she the letter right about how Doug is not coming to her graduation, right?
So she's a senior
because
and
she didn't
exist. A sophomore.
Yeah. The age gap and it's not that I think they wouldn't be friends, but like they seem to only be together. Like there are the other girls they're hanging out with at Perry's, but they're sitting together at lunch. Like.
I feel like
Linda
she would have
other friends.
Her own friend of like really hot girls in her class that would just hang out at the cafeteria. What do you have, CR?
I just think Damone's got to have more of a cash backstop. You know, like he's operating on a lot of credit for a kid in high school. And he's got like all these chits out with these kids where he's just like, hey man, remember Van Halen? And it's like, you gotta have $75 if you're Mike Damone, right?
Yeah, you have $700 under your pillow.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? One. Maybe he's propping up his dad's garage with it, but and then just Rat's not getting over Damone getting Stacy pregnant.
That's the big one. Just Rat forgiving him way too quickly. We already talked about like why would Ron Johnson go to the point specifically. This is a little bit more serious, but I do think Stacy seems quite calm about being pregnant at 15. Little too
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But watching it's kind of
it feels like the character
to see like people kind of take life as it comes. You know?
That part, absolutely. I feel like we're missing like a scene.
Yeah.
Where she is a little bit more.
So I think they have the scene. I think it was one of the deleted ones with her and Linda.
Okay. Would Employee of the Month Brad Hamilton be fired for that interaction with the customer?
And who did he beat out as Employee of the Month? They had like 3 people there.
I know. And half of them he's brought on. Like it's like
was it like how Lamar won AFC North Player of the Month like 19 times?
Get out of here.
2 and 5 in the playoffs.
Adam did ask me to mention as a Blue Oyster Cult enthusiast, he was offended by the notion that Damone would not have been able to move the Blue Oyster Cult tickets.
I do feel like
their popularity in
early 80s.
82 might have been
away from Blue Oyster Cult though a little bit. But I obviously respect Adam's.
So there's some
picking it.
There's some picking nits with the Led Zeppelin song because it's not on Led Zeppelin 4. It's on Physical Graffiti.
Yeah.
And Cameron Crowe said there was a publishing snafu, so they had to get that other song instead. But then people who were diehard Led Zeppelin fans took it as a joke that he thought Led Zeppelin 4 was, that he just basically had the wrong album. Here's my biggest one. I can't believe you guys didn't mention this. I was going to give it to either of you. You both missed it.
Is it why does
feel like
Linda?
You would have had it 5 years ago.
Why does Linda have enough carrots for a family
feel like
of
we would have had it
5 years ago when we were all at our peaks? We have Christmas scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have the big football game.
Yeah.
The fucking football season ends in like early November in California.
There's a lot of like seasonal.
We're not even close.
Stuff.
Even in the 80s there was like that?
We're like 3 months after the
football season ends at Thanksgiving, basically, right?
Here it's like,
they
mid-November.
play Thanksgiving football on the East Coast, so I'm just saying.
This is October, November for football. All the football stuff should have happened in the first part of the movie, and they just missed it.
Yeah.
Annoying. It's been annoying me for like really since the early 90s.
They also have like the hot summer
should we
swim
quit
day,
now?
right?
Just you and I, since we missed that?
Listen, I missed it too for years.
I'd like to make sure that
like
I
Linda,
give you all the money I was
were.
scheduled to make, though. I don't want to like take anything else from this company.
You didn't notice that though?
It didn't occur to me because this movie isn't like conventionally structured where it's just like it has like a second act.
There's something about the way it's sequenced where it's like, you know, the the Rat Stacy date. We know that they're going to the pool. They're crashing her house to go to the pool after the date, right? If you mess up a date, try again. So we know that that's actually happening in the right order. It's not like the scenes have been flipped, but it's like 100 degrees in swimming weather. Like,
well, it's the Valley.
But a minute after Christmas?
I think there's like a Spicoli part of the movie that they kind of rearranged to go earlier and later in the movie, but it takes place earlier.
I was too distracted by Linda and Stacy slicing the giant salami at Perry's with the wrapper
while
on.
They're talking about how long guys can last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Art Linton, who was one of the producers of this movie and wrote that book that's really fun, which I have, and I looked through it last night all excited for the Fast Times chapter, and he didn't have it. But he did have one page on it, and he said how on the set it was clear Sean Penn was stealing the movie, and they were like putting in more scenes with him.
Yeah.
So that made me wonder, like the football stuff. Maybe they moved.
Thing?
Yeah, maybe they like moved that stuff up because they wanted more Sean Penn. I like reading that in movies because we watch these movies and we watch them. And we're like, oh man, so well crafted.
It happens.
And then
more
Art
on
Linson's
TV.
like, we told Cameron like write 3 more Spicoli scenes. That kid's great. Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast, or untouchable. Universal wanted a Spicoli Goes to College follow-up immediately, and Sean Penn said no.
Oh, man.
Man of integrity.
That would have been an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like an important
But it's also
movie.
like, you guys think Spicoli could have gotten into college?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Right,
well, now.
Yeah, I do.
Spicoli.
You think he's Good Will Hunting. Yeah.
Spicoli's like...
He's like a Rhodes Scholar.
He owns Facebook now. Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, Byron Mayo, Harling Mays, evil laughing Ramon Raymond, who just can't seem to win this category, or Philip Baker Hall?
Because even laughing Ramon Raymond is just laughing, right?
Right.
So
but he's evil laughing, though. It was really Spicoli!
I'll try this. I thought Wayne Jenkins, if he had been working at All American Burger, goddamn, Brad! I didn't know I was working with Bobby Flay and the motherfucking secret sauce. You better lock down Lisa pretty soon or you're going to be flipping burgers a long fucking time, big boy. It had been a while, so I was just like trying to dial it up. Yeah.
Incredible. Fantastic.
I love it every time. Goddamn, Brad. Just one Oscar. Who gets it?
Penn.
Easy.
No Jennifer Jason Leigh?
No, it's Penn.
Momentum?
It's Penn.
Okay. Probably unanswerable questions. Let's do it. Did Doug exist?
No. I think no.
I don't think so either. I think you're right. I think it was a boyfriend from camp.
So
situation.
why did she fake having a boyfriend?
To Mal's point, and to your point about like why doesn't Linda have any friends her age?
Mm-hmm.
Take a step outside of it, and it's like Linda's this weirdo who's a fabulist, who's made up this college boyfriend and has no friends her age and her grade because they're all like, Linda's fucking crazy. But she's gotten Stacy into her spider's web and is like, yeah, this is how you do blowjobs and this is how long guys last and how much they come. And it's all bullshit.
All of it. Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a deleted scene early on in the movie when another girl comes up to her in a mall and asks Linda for advice on sex, and she gives her the advice. So I think they're trying to establish that she was
she's like the Dr. Ruth
kind
of this
guru
high school. Yeah.
Also, she was freaking hot. Like, how are the guys not after her the whole year? Like, the football quarterback wasn't going after Linda?
I do think that's possibly part of why Doug could exist as a figure. It's like keep everyone at bay. Right?
Oh yeah. That's why like nobody goes
the veil
for her.
of Doug.
Right.
Veil of Doug.
Right. I like that.
Maybe.
That's great.
Maybe.
I had a possibly unanswerable question specifically for you.
Yeah.
Do kids still sneak out of the house after bedtime, or is like Find My iPhone killed that?
Great question.
Do they just negotiate like, look, I want to go
right
to this
out the
party?
window in the front yard? Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have Life 360 or any of the Find My iPhones, you kind of know where your kids are at all times, which is non-negotiable if you're even decent parent.
Unlike the Hamiltons.
Well, I'm just saying in 2024, I think it'll be hard.
Yeah.
Do you think kids still should be able to sneak out? Do you think it's good for them?
I mean, I'm in the micromanaging parent era, so
I think the worst case scenario is about as bad as it can get. With
right.
that.
Obviously, yes. But you know what I mean?
But I think what kids can do is just leave their phone, sneak out. Jack's nodding. Jack's like, yes, that's what we fucking do. you leave the phone behind, they think you're asleep, and meanwhile you're out, you're phoneless. You're basically like you're raw dogging it.
No kid is leaving their phone.
You're
behind.
hailing cabs with cash.
Or you get the second phone.
Yeah. Oh, the burner. That's interesting.
Phone.
All right. My only other probably answerable question was what was Jefferson's final stat line against Lincoln?
Yeah.
So I had
Did he play college ball?
Oh, he was.
Did he play in the NFL?
He's going to Miami.
Yeah.
USC.
I think
early 80s. He's
Schnell and
no, it's like Miami or Nebraska.
Who coached Miami?
He's Miami or Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tom Osborne. Yeah.
I had a football question based off that. They say the line was 14 points.
Yeah.
This was the game of the year. So Ridgemont was favored by 14.
I think
they won 40 to nothing.
At the end as like a little fine print for Arnold.
And it was 5-1 odds with a 14-point spread, which is weird. That's like an adjusted line.
Yeah, the gambling in this movie was really weak.
It turns out Timon might not be.
Timon. No wonder he didn't have any money. Best double feature choice. I had either Valley Girl or Last American Virgin. You want to stay in this year with that kind of theme would be one of my picks.
I American Graffiti just because it's she Heckerling acknowledged that was a huge touchstone for her.
Yeah, I would either do American Graffiti or like Dazed and Confused for the high school stoner tie.
Not Clueless? Do the Fast Times Clueless combo?
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, maybe. On the Heckerling front, that would be nice. But they feel distinct.
The Indian Reds want an award for what happened the next day, they told us. What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie other than my Google history from last night?
Your iPad?
Yeah.
I really like the Kill Lincoln t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
And all the Kill Lincoln, like Assassinate Lincoln merch.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, tasteful. I would want, I think, Spicoli's checkerboard Van slip-ons.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have those?
I don't have the checkerboard ones. I over the years have had Van slip-ons though.
Okay. I had that in Half-Assed. He got the Vans going basically. They credited this movie as like launching Vans, which I didn't realize. I would have Jefferson's varsity jacket with the 33 on it, obviously because I love the number 33.
Birdmaster.
Yeah. But I thought the jacket was cool too. That would just be a good thing to have in the closet. The Coach Finstock Award for Best Life Lesson. I have one, but what'd you guys have?
Do you ever relax your throat muscles?
How about you go first?
Lock your door. Lock your door. Brad taught us that.
Yeah.
Doesn't anyone knock anymore?
Spicoli taught us that, right? He's like, Curtis, I don't hear you unless you knock. There's a lot of like invasion of personal space across the movie that could be easily avoided by simply locking the door.
Oh, I was just going to reiterate Spicoli's point about Jefferson that we need our own rules, dude, or otherwise, yeah.
My best life lesson, which I actually took from this movie, was how to cheat during exams.
This was we didn't hit this in the what's age
did
the best.
this especially in college, where if you wore shorts, you could tape a cheat sheet to your leg. You could also do like the sunglasses.
Yeah, the glasses
that was a big
so
one.
Funny.
The sleeves, having it like this, but then having like the quarterback roll up.
Yeah, the fucking Tom Brady play sheet. Yeah,
I even graduated to hiding the notebooks in the bathroom. And can I go to the bathroom and go in the notebooks?
You were allowed to go to the bathroom in the middle of an exam?
Well, this was, it was different era.
I think I did that once or twice with
But the
French.
cheat sheet on your body, I feel like this movie invented that, and it was a great life lesson.
Did you say that cheating was rampant in your school, or were you like...
Cheating was rampant in the 80s and 90s.
Interesting that Bill is willing to reveal the exact methods by which he would cheat throughout high school, but not comment on the active bookie in school.
What's up with that?
Fascinating.
It was more college. I don't think we could have cheated in high school this way. College was a little looser.
Okay.
But listen, you got to do what you got to do. College is a fun time. You don't have time to study the entire time. You're just trying to get through it. Who won the movie?
Penn.
Yeah.
CH.
Craig.
Man.
What do you got?
Loved this movie. Fascinated me in many ways. I still think high school is just my high school will forever be my favorite like canvas for a movie. I don't know. I just like it's just like somebody's specific perspective when they make a high school movie. It's just like what they exactly thought in the time. There's so many different variations. But what I loved about this movie was how they depicted like men and women, their maturity levels. I thought it hit really well on how, if you think about it, this whole movie, the women are constantly opening up and talking about sex. The men do not talk about sex. They just imagine it.
Yeah.
Which is like,
and they're like, I have a 5-point plan to have this.
Yeah.
And
it's all
like,
posturing.
Yeah. Every like 16-year-old woman in this movie is 3 years more mature, and every 16-year-old man in this movie is like 3 years under mature. And I thought that was so perfect how every time it was like Spicoli imagining himself with like beautiful women after a great surfing day. Brad, you know, imagining Phoebe Cates coming out of the pool, and the women were just like, no, we're going to do it in real life. Like, we're going to actually talk to these guys. And every time a guy was talked to, he's like, I got to go, which is just like such a great way. It's honestly very accurate. And then the other thing this movie made me think of is that, man, my era did not have movies explain sex to us, like at all. I can't even think of one. Like, I guess we had Superbad.
But Superbad, it's like those guys are talking like in a way that's not actually like, practical at all.
And it's about the two of them being friends more than it is anything else. There's no nudity. There's no sex in that movie like at all. There's nothing. It's like easy A, I guess, but that movie's like borderline PG in the way it's kind of filmed. We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. And like, I can't even imagine like in the 80s, even movies like Breakfast Club still deal with like interesting themes. And I just feel like my specific spot from, I don't know, I was 13, I think, when Superbad came out. That whole era of late 2000s, we had nothing.
Yeah.
I wonder if the internet spooked people where they're afraid to put stuff like that in a movie in the same way.
I mean, we had like John Tucker Must Die, which was kind of a movie about sex a little bit, but like we didn't have anything. Yeah.
Jeez, tragic.
Did you like Sean Penn?
Yeah, to be honest, I was kind of like, this is a lot. But
wow.
Yeah.
But you kind of, you warm up to it. It's like, it's also one of those things where it's like, this has been, I've known about this my whole life, and it's hard to watch anything and have it live up to the expectations.
To his point, I think it's something where it did feel like on the day they were just like, this guy is out of his mind cooking. We have to just add, because like all of his scenes, most of them are not connected to the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. So Craig, on female empowerment, sexual empowerment, agency, out on one of the greatest performances in the history of cinema.
80s movies. I love that it's like blowjobs and weed, and now Euphoria is like human trafficking and
scalping.
I was thinking about Euphoria in the locker room fight scene. It's like if this were Euphoria, literally there would be 31 visible dicks.
Yeah,
right?
and then these guys would like beat the shit out of each other and sleep with each other. Yeah.
Did you guys think the ending was kind of weird? I don't know why, but just like the movie ending on Brad preventing a robbery in a convenience store.
That felt very 80s, like the movie's over now. Like it's like they did, because there's no story to this movie.
But I kind of like these movies are very like raw and kind of awkward. They're not like slapstick at all. They're situationally funny. Like Dazed and Confused. There's like no plot to these movies, which I really like. But yeah, this movie just kind of was like a guy tries to rob Brad and he saves the day, and then Spicoli's like, nice one, and then it ends.
Thematically very rich, Craig. Right?
It should have been, the movie should have ended with Brad and Stacy's parents coming home from their 9-month vacation.
Yeah.
Like, wait.
We took the school year off. Yeah.
Wait, what happened in the pool
Did you guys
house,
clean
Stacy?
the pool?
Yeah.
How about the couch in the changing room?
You guys, I wanted you to do on Apex Mountain just like High School movies.
Oh man, I mean,
it's
there are
not
too many.
for
it's
me.
Impossible.
I mean, I think Dazed is still my Apex Mountain for high school movies.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the Apex Mountain for high school movies, but I think it's probably the most influential of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically like Dr. J.
Yeah. Right.
It set the tone.
Yeah. And Dazed is Jordan.
Yeah.
So Dazed is #1 in all of your book?
To me.
I'd have to think about it. I think Breakfast Club's really important.
Dazed and Ferris Bueller, but Ferris Bueller's not really set in high school for the most part.
Breakfast Club did the best job of hitting 5 specific types of people in high school and all of the ways life was affecting them in the mid-'80s.
I think the characters are a lot stronger in Breakfast Club. It goes deeper.
Yeah.
Just bury your head in the sand and wait for your fucking prom. That's it for the Rewatchables. Thanks to Craig Horlbeck. Thanks to Jack and Gahau as well. And don't forget about Ringer Movies YouTube channel, which is coming